We've arrived at the second theme. It's a magical moment. They're walking in the woods, hand in hand, perhaps for the first time. Everything's going right. We're in a nice, comfortable key, C major. Listen to what's happening in the piano. This is the framework, soft, velvety, with a clear rhythmic feel, which we can ride on top of. Jazz players would say that the piano is laying down the groove. So, you can latch right onto it and pour your heart out. The piano track is pre-recorded, so I'm following the piano, not the other way around, and I'm perfectly comfortable this way. I can relate to this foundation and soar above it, and I can even take a certain amount of freedom within the beat. There's something really special that can happen in this section. When you play so softly that the listeners can hardly hear you, but you hold them spellbound. It has to do with clarity of enunciation and diction. Going to the high notes. Lingering a bit, if there's a note you particularly like. But it has to do especially with tone. We need to find a basic tone for this whole section. That's soft, the marking is piano, but yet the tone needs presence and resonance. Ah, oh. Let's plug this tone quality into this section. Practice this all the way up to measure 60. As you get accustomed to this tone quality, you may find that you can do some very nice things that you couldn't do with a louder tone. You can slide more. Slides that were gross with a louder tone all of a sudden become beautiful. And you have more room to shape the phrases with little swells or hairpins. Now, after you've practiced it this way, go back once more and play the whole section one level softer. Can you do that? I'll bet you can. Chances are you haven't yet found the limit of softness that you can go to. You need to know where that limit is. You need to know the special beauty of that territory and be ready to use it. Here's another special violinistic moment. Sliding up on the A string. In this case, it's a fourth finger slide, the so-called gypsy slide or Heifetz slide. That slide needs to be practiced. gliding smoothly with light finger pressure and light bow pressure. Practice it like this. Just the two notes, back and forth. We need to sneak the fourth finger onto the string so that we don't hear an extra note like this. But like this. Now, the phrase starts over the same as before, but we shouldn't play it the same way. Why? The context is different. We're now heading for the climax of this whole section. So let's start building up to it. I'm using separate bows here for the two quarter notes. Listen to how that one new bowing changes the whole feeling of the phrase. Now, this is the high point of this whole section. It could be right out of Italian opera, right out of Verdi or Rossini. It says largamente. Largamente, roughly speaking, means large. It means the feeling is big and grand. We accomplish that by slowing down and filling in the space with long, legato, intensely singing bow strokes. The high F is a great note, and it demands a great slide. Practice that slide. Now I'm planning my fingering. I'm going to fourth position, right here, so that I can arrive at this fermato with the third finger on the G string. Breathe. And finally, we arrive at the next section. Finally, we have some good old-fashioned passage work. All we have to do is play the notes in tune with steady rhythm and good tone quality, right? Well, that would be acceptable. But with the tools you have right now, you can make it something special. You can give the phrases shape. You can create colors and moods. Don't cop out. Acceptable is not acceptable. Let's just take a look and find the phrasing patterns and see where the music seems to need some nuances. We have a half measure unit and another half measure unit and then a whole measure. Each one of those units gets a little nuance, a little hairpin. Subtly, don't overdo it. And then again, half measure, whole measure. Make sure those little trills are clearly articulated and have some elegance. The trill has exactly 3 notes. And it needs to be fast. Just flip it off. Not like this, but like this. Now the whole 4-measure phrase is repeated, so this time I'm doing something different. I'm playing it with all separate bows, softer, and letting the bow spring a little. Now we're back to the original style and starting a long crescendo. What scale is this? Do you recognize that we're now in a D minor scale, a melodic minor scale? The music has built up to another climactic moment, another operatic moment. Let's make the most of it. Hold on to that A with your biggest, most beautiful, most intense sound. And now we charge down the hill to the E. Breathe.